I'm going to redraft the Seattle Kraken. In hindsight, there was a ton of great players that were passed on in the expansion draft, so I'm going back in time to fix this team. Some of the notable changes were adding Matt Duchene to the team, Jacob Voracek, and Vladimir Tarasenko. So taking a look at this team right now, it's going to look very different in a few years. There's a bunch of stuff we got to do before we get to the regular season though. We had 7 picks in the upcoming draft, and our best prospects were a medium elite potential defenseman, Ratu, a low elite potential center, Riker Evans, a low elite potential defenseman, Sebastian Kosa, honestly, I thought he was a medium elite potential goalie, so I feel I was a bit scammed here, and then another low elite potential defenseman. Taking a look at extensions, Shillington 6 years at $2 million per, Rodriguez $1.35 million per year for the next 5, Chris Drager $3.9 million per year for the next 6, Jake Bean $4.4 million per year for the next 6, McCain 5 years at $4 million, Nemestikov 3 years at $1 million, Fisher $1.4 million per year for the next 3, and then I'm going to send Drouin to Tampa for Radish in a 6th. And I'm going to make a huge free agent signing immediately. Quinn Hughes $7.3 million per year for the next 7. And you might be wondering, how are you getting Quinn Hughes? He's a restricted free agent. I'm giving up 2 firsts, a 2nd, and a 3rd to Vancouver because they don't want to bring him back at that price, and I think that's an absolute steal for us. Domi's off to Detroit for Riley in a 6th. Coleman's coming here on a 1-year deal worth $2 million, and Holla, he's coming here on a 3-year deal worth $2.4 million. So clearly, the plan isn't to win in year 1. I want to slowly build a foundation for this team, and maybe in 3 years we'll be able to compete for a cup. So I'm going to go ahead and simulate through the first 10 games and see how we're looking. Through the first 10, we're looking not too bad with a 6-3-1 record, and over the next 15, we dominated, going 11-4, and we're sitting at a 17-7-1 record, much better than what I was expecting. At the 50 game mark, we're looking great, 28-18-4, 4th in the Pacific, but 8th in the entire league. Voracek's leading the way with 15 goals and 27 assists, 42 points, while Vladimir Tarasenko's picked up 19 goals and 22 helpers for 44 points. Yanni Gourde's rounding out the top 3 with 14 goals and 24 assists for 38 points. Quinn Hughes has got 1 goal and 35 assists for 36 points, leading our defense, and Drager, he's picked up 23 wins with a 906 save percentage and a 274 goals against. So before we simulate to the trade deadline, I want to make a few moves. Duchene and Nick Hughes off to the Oilers for Nugent-Hopkins, Archibald, and Russell, and then Riley Donskoy in a 2nd off to Vancouver for JT Miller in a 3rd. We also took on Louis Eriksson's contract for this season. Panik's off to Boston for a 6th and a 7th. Then Rodriguez, you're not really fitting here with the team, so I'm sending you to Tampa for 2 7ths. And then Hayden Fleury, I'm giving you a 4-year extension at $2.2 million per. So heading towards the trade deadline, I don't think we're going to make any moves. I just made a bunch here. Plus, I don't think we're truly going to compete for a cup this season, so I don't want to go all in. So like I said, we're not making any trades, so we'll simulate to the end of the season and see how we finish. When the season came to an end, we're finishing with a 43, 28, and 11 record, 5th in the Pacific and 8th in the entire league. So we're in a pretty stacked division right now. Voracek's leading the way, 25 goals and 40 helpers for 65 points, while Tarasenko's picking up 26 goals and 35 helpers for 61 points. And JT Miller, he's rounding out the top 3, 22 goals and 38 helpers for 60 points. Quinn Hughes is leading the defense, of course, 3 goals and 55 assists for 58 points, while Chris Drager's picking up 31 wins with a 906 save percentage and a 282 goals against. Leading the entire league in points is Connor McDavid, 48 goals and 57 assists for 105 points, while Austin Matthews is picking up 46 goals and 55 helpers for 101 points. And Leon Draisaitl, he's going to round out the top 3, 97 points consisting of 33 goals and 64 assists. Adam Fox is leading all defensemen in points, 7 goals and 61 helpers for 68 points, while Jacob Markstrom picks up 39 wins with a 915 save percentage and a 262 goals against. In the first round, we're going to take on the Calgary Flames. Calgary's taking an early lead in the series with the help of a Gaudreau OT winner. Another OT winner from Calgary, this time by Dubé, giving the Flames a 2-0 series lead. 4 unanswered in Game 3 is going to put the Kraken on the brink of elimination, but a late goal from Nemestikov keeping Seattle alive for another day. Calgary would dominate Game 5 though with 6 goals, and that's going to send the Kraken home. When the playoffs came to an end, Washington's defeating the Anaheim Ducks to hoist the cup in 5 games. Honestly, I think we overperformed this season, so I think we might be a year ahead of schedule. Holla led the way in postseason points with 5 assists for 5 points, while Tom Wilson picked up 15 goals and 10 assists for 25 points. And Samsonov, he's our Stanley Cup winning goaltender, 16 wins with a 929 save percentage and a 233 goals against. Taking a look at the draft lottery results, Vancouver's jumping from 2-1. In the draft, we're only having one notable prospect, which is a medium top 4 potential defenseman. So I'm going to go ahead and qualify a bunch of RFAs and sign last season's rookies. And Donato, I'm bringing you back on a 1-year deal worth $2 million. Tarasenko, you're getting an 8-year extension at $7.3 million. JT Miller, 5-year extension at $6.7. Taylor Radish, $1.6 million per year for 3 years. Janssen, you're off to Washington for a 7th. Jensen, you're going to Tampa for a 4th and a 5th, and then bringing Pollock in on a 6-year deal worth $6.9 million per. Jeff Carter, $3.6 million per year for 1 year. Alec Martinez, $3.7 million per year for 1 year. A 5th off to Columbus for Bjorkstrand, and then Kakinen, you're coming here on a 2-year deal worth $1.85 million per. So I think last season put us 1 year ahead of schedule. I don't think we're going to be winning the cup this season, but I do think we might be able to steal a series. But before we get into this season, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. I'm trying to hit 16k subs by the end of the month, so if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe so you can be notified of when I upload. So we'll go ahead and simulate through the first 10 games and see how we look. Through the first 10, we're not looking as good as last season, starting 5-4-1. And over the next 15, we didn't look that great, going 7-4-4, and we're currently sitting at a 12-8-5 record. Through 50 games, we're not looking quite as good as last season, 24-18-8, third in the Pacific and 15th in the entire league. Voracek's doing his thing though, 21 goals and 27 assists for 48 points, while Tarasenko's picked up 21 goals and 22 helpers for 43 points. And Nugent-Hopkins, he's going to round out the top 3, 13 goals and 23 assists for 36 points. Of course, Quinn Hughes is leading the defense, 5 goals and 29 helpers for 34 points, while Dreger picks up 20 wins with a 902 save percentage and a 309 goals against. So we got to make a few moves here. Fisher, you're off to Ottawa for a 7th. Martinez is off to the Ducks for 2/3. Bean's going to Chicago for a 2nd and a 3rd, and then a 2nd and a 3rd's off to Tampa for Chernak. Bjorkstrand and a 7th's off to the Devils for a 3rd and a 4th, and then 2/3 and a 4th is off to Winnipeg for Dubois. Carter's off to the Rangers for 2/3, and then I'm going to flip those 2/3 along with another 3rd and a 4th to the Penguins for Kapanen. I am going to extend 2 players though. Chernak, you're getting a 3-year extension at 4.7, and Dubois a 4-year extension at 3.9. So with those extensions in the book, we'll simulate over to the trade deadline and then maybe make another move. So over the next 11, this team is elite, going 9-2, so we got to make at least one move. So 4th and a 5th off to Nashville for Nichushkin, and then Nichushkin, I'm going to give you a 3-year extension at 2.6 million per. So with that signing in the book, we're going to simulate to the end of the season and maybe even finish first in the division, because if you look at our last 11, this team's finally got it together. When the season came to an end, we're finishing with a 47-27-8 record, 1st in the Pacific and 7th in the entire league. Tarasenko's leading the way, 30 goals and 45 assists for 75 points. Voracek's coming in 2nd, 34 goals and 37 assists for 71 points, while JT Miller picks up 24 goals and 34 assists for 58 points. Quinn Hughes is leading our defense, of course, 57 points, consisting of 9 goals and 48 assists, while Dreger's picking up 36 wins with a 908 save percentage and a 275 goals against. Leading the entire league in points is Austin Matthews, 64 goals and 43 assists for 107 points, while Stamkos isn't too far behind with 105 points, 38 goals and 67 assists, and then Kuch is going to round out the top 3, 44 goals and 56 assists for 100 points. Victor Hedman's leading all defensemen, 11 goals and 65 assists for 74 points, while Marc-Andre Fleury's picking up 44 wins with a 920 save percentage and a 247 goals against. In the first round, we're taking on the Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver's stealing game 1 with the help of Clutterbuck OT winner. Seattle's able to respond in game 2 with a monster 7-goal game. A Bo Horvat hat-trick is giving the Canucks game 3, but 2 Tarasenko goals in game 4 is going to even the series once again. 4 answer from the Canucks is going to put the Kraken on the brink of elimination, but a 5-0 lead is more than enough for Seattle, and we're forced in game 7. And in game 7, 2 third-period goals from the Kraken are enough to send us to the next round. In the second round, we're taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. An OT winner from Paul Stastny is giving Vegas game 1. Voracek's responding with an OT winner of his own in game 2 to even the series. 3 unanswered in the third is helping us take a 2-1 series lead, and then an OT winner from JT Miller is going to put us 1 game away from the conference finals. Vegas is going to avoid elimination in game 5 with a close 5-4 win, then 3 third-period goals is forced in game 7. But in game 7, Dreger's going to dial in, he's picking up the shutout, and we're off to the next round. In the conference finals, we're going to be taking on the Colorado Avalanche. Chris Dreger's going to pick up another shutout to open up the conference finals. A 6-2 win in game 2 is putting us up 2 games to none, while another Chris Dreger shutout is going to put us 1 game away from the Stanley Cup final. And in game 4, Seattle's completing the sweep, and we're off to the Stanley Cup final. So I don't know how we've made it here in year 2, but here we are, the Stanley Cup final, and we're taking on the New York Rangers. 2 Kevin Miller goals is allowing the Rangers to take game 1. A goal with less than a minute left is putting the Rangers up 2 games to none. Seattle avoids falling to a 3-0 deficit with the help of 4 unanswered in game 3, but in game 4, the Rangers are going to put themselves 1 game away from hoisting the cup. Luckily, Seattle is able to avoid elimination in game 5 with the help of an OT winner from Nemestikov, and in game 6, JT Miller is going to be the hero, and he's scoring the OT winner to force game 7. And in game 7, Tarasenko is going to pick up the hat-trick, while Seattle comes back from a 3-1 deficit in the series to win the Stanley Cup. Tarasenko dominated in the postseason, 16 goals and 16 assists for 32 points, while Chris Dreger picked up 16 wins with a 915 save percentage and a 248 goals against. So I'm going to keep it a stack. I have no clue how we won a Stanley Cup in year 2. I thought this was going to take 4, maybe even 5 years, but here we are in year 2. So I guess you could say that was a pretty successful rebuild.